Hola a todos y bienvenidos un día más a Momentum 3.0, el lugar donde tomamos nuestras propias decisiones financieras ahora. Hoy voy a hablar más en detalle de por qué ayer estuve comentando la oportunidad que yo estaba viendo en XRP y que en general tenemos cada vez que hay un dip en el mercado. Bueno, muchos os preguntaréis, ¿cómo sé cuándo es un dip? ¿Cuándo sé cuándo el soporte es realmente un soporte y no una resistencia o no un falso soporte que se haya roto? Bueno, todo esto es muy relativo, como prácticamente todo en análisis técnico. Por eso debemos hacer zig-zag entre análisis técnico y análisis fundamental. Cuando vemos que Nasdaq, que es una empresa muy importante, quedaos con esto, que es una empresa muy importante dentro del mundo de las acciones y dentro del mundo de la tecnología, está diciendo que XRP podría ser una buena opción ahora mismo de inversión. Os recuerdo que no doy consejo de inversión en YouTube, por lo tanto, todo lo que comente es información general que considero puede ser de vuestro interés. Después vais a tener la entrevista con Matthew de Trustline y él tampoco da asesoramiento financiero. Por lo tanto, todo lo que comentemos es dentro del marco de la información general. Después vais a poder cerrar el vídeo si queréis porque está la entrevista y si queréis quedaros no hay ningún problema. Es simplemente que está en inglés, así que bueno, os lo comento para que lo tengáis en cuenta. En el artículo lo que vemos es que XRP, al tener menor capitalización, tiene mayor potencial, ya que no está tan capitalizado. Es lo que os suelo comentar cuando hablo de microcoins, que realmente sean microcoins. XRP no está en el top 200, top 300 o incluso top 500. Hay veces que hablo de esas, de alguna que está en el top 500, ¿vale? Pero bueno, para él es una microcap, ¿vale? Está en el top 10, pero para él es una microcap. En comparación con Bitcoin y con Ethereum, pues sí, es una coin de menor capitalización, ¿vale? Entonces, básicamente dice que según va creciendo la capitalización de un activo, su potencial a largo plazo tiende a decrecer. Es decir, hay mucha gente que sabe muchas cosas y tú muy probablemente no sepas más que todos los que están ahí metidos o todos los que podrían entrar. Así que por eso hablo tanto de XRP, creo que muchos estáis muy centrados en XRP, entre otras cosas, porque veis que Bitcoin, que Ethereum, que Cardano, que Polkadot ya tienen un mercado muy asentado, que son poco hateadas, que hay muy poca gente en contra de XRP o en contra de estas, de XRP hay bastante gente en contra, básicamente toda la gente que no la ha comprado o que incluso ha vendido para luego comprar más abajo, todos estos están apostando en contra de XRP. Todos los que no tienen ninguna coin en su portafolio están en contra en términos de mercado, ¿vale? Están en short, ¿vale? En términos de XRP, de Bitcoin y de Ethereum, pero concretamente están en contra de XRP por no haber comprado XRP. Así que, bueno, estamos aquí para ir a favor de lo que consideramos que es de utilidad para nuestro portafolio y para el futuro. Dan los típicos argumentos de que Ripple, empresa, ojo cuidado, está diseñada para empresas, ¿vale? Es un producto, ahora sí, XRP, diseñado para comprar y vender otros activos, más concretamente otras monedas, fiat y stablecoins, usando XRP como puente, ¿vale? Podemos pensar en XRP como el puente que une ambas coins, ¿vale? Entonces, esto se llama bridge currency o moneda puente y hasta ahora se ha utilizado el dólar para este tipo de transacciones o el euro, por ejemplo. Si queremos comprar rublos y somos de República Dominicana, podemos comprar directamente rublos o podemos hacer el cambio en Madrid, por ejemplo, usando el euro. Podemos comprar euros y de euros pasar a rublos, porque la liquidez, el número de contratos que se negocian entre rublos y monedas pequeñas, pues, hombre, son pequeños y hay poca liquidez para que nos entendamos. También importante RippleNet, que básicamente es un producto que sí que está diseñado para que se use por bancos y por instituciones financieras. Más que por bancos, por instituciones financieras, por MoneyGram, bueno, aunque ya no están colaborando de momento, pero sí muchas empresas de Asia, de Oriente Medio, incluso de América Latina, como es el caso de Bits. Todos ellos usan RippleNet. Y bueno, en general, el resumen que hace es que si tenéis dinero que queráis invertir en activos alternativos, inversiones alternativas, podéis, según él, invertir en XRP. Desde mi punto de vista y dentro del mundo del asesoramiento financiero, todas las criptos se engloban dentro de inversiones alternativas. Hay muchos ejemplos de inversiones alternativas y la mayoría son bastante divertidos. Y uno de ellos puede ser el tipo de vivienda que no es, por así decirlo, retail o no es para el inversor minorista, sino que es un tipo de vivienda que, por ejemplo, hay que reparar o es de dudoso cobro. Todo esto son inversiones alternativas. Entonces, mucha gente tiene en su portafolio una parte, o incluso yo tengo una parte, que es claramente especulativo, que es, bueno, esto puede ir bien, puede ir mal, no me voy a jugar un porcentaje alto de mi cartera y sé que si lo pierdo todo, pues no pasa nada, no va a afectar a mi portafolio a largo plazo, porque lo voy a compensar con retornos, entre comillas, seguros. Vamos al precio de XRP y vamos a empezar por la dominancia. Bueno, esto está clarísimo. O sea, no estamos viendo nada raro en la dominancia. Estamos viendo exactamente lo mismo que vimos en 2017. Os cuento. En 2017 vimos una caída, ¿vale? Bastante fuerte. Y luego otra caída. ¿Qué estamos viendo ahora? Exactamente lo mismo. Y ojo, después del pump, después del 1 de febrero, vimos esta caída. Y aquí las noticias eran tan positivas como el artículo que os acabo de mostrar. El juicio estaba avanzando bien y todo parecía bastante positivo. Sin embargo, como los fractales suelen funcionar, ¡pum! ¿Y esto por qué pasa? ¿O por qué creo que está pasando esto? Básicamente porque la gente ve, o todos vemos, que otros activos están subiendo. Hemos visto cómo ha subido Cardano, hemos visto cómo ha subido Polkadot, hemos visto cómo ha subido el propio Bitcoin. Entonces es oye, que XRP no pampea, oye, que mejor me voy a otro activo, oye, que lo del pump era para salirse, oye, pum, para abajo. Y ojo, que en 2015, que está por aquí, en 2015, 2014, hubo pumps muy fuertes de XRP. No es el primer pump que veíamos, ¿vale? Entonces, importante recordarlo. Y por supuesto, después tuvimos el mega pump. Y lo que os quiero comentar hoy es hasta qué punto la tendencia es tu amiga. Incluso podría ser un buen indicador todo lo que vemos aquí, ¿vale? Para saber si realmente ya estamos camino de un nuevo máximo o camino de retomar estos niveles de la dominancia. Básicamente que XRP vuelva al cuarto puesto, al tercer puesto en CoinMarketCap. Bueno, aquí lo que vemos es que sí, está empezando a haber subidas, gráfico de 3 días, ¿vale? Está empezando a haber subidas. Sin embargo, yo aquí tengo marcada una zona de resistencia, que también fue resistencia por aquí, y si hacemos zoom in, vamos a ver que está ahí, ¿vale? Sí que bajó a soportar, ¿vale? Bajó el soporte y soportó muy bien, ¿vale? Y desde aquí, bueno, lo que vemos es bastante fuerza. En 4 horas una tendencia relativamente alcista. ¿Y por qué digo esto? Porque no sirve solo con ver un indicador, solo una señal. No, hay que tener varias señales, ¿vale? Y una muy interesante es que aquí no conseguía cerrar por encima, no conseguía tener fuerza suficiente como para aguantar aquí arriba y por esta zona sí que vimos que aguantaba más. Luego, de nuevo, actuó como resistencia y a partir de aquí, bueno, ya vemos otro desarrollo. Y ya para acabar vamos a ver el precio y os dejo con la entrevista que tenía pendiente de publicar, ¿vale? Vemos que el precio está subiendo muchísimo a la hora de grabación, que es a las 12 menos cuarto, hora española. Si luego lo veis a otros precios, es por eso, es porque he grabado más pronto, ¿vale? Probablemente desde aquí veamos más subidas. ¿Y por qué ayer me la jugué tanto hablando directamente de qué estaba viendo? Porque, vamos a ver, lo que estaba estudiando, que no intuyendo ni apostando, ni mucho menos, es, oye, aquí tenemos una antigua resistencia, ¿vale? Que ahora se ha convertido en un soporte. Vale, muy bien. La antigua resistencia, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 más toques, ¿vale? Cuando luego se retestea es confirmación, ¿vale? No hay ningún problema en bajar a confirmar una antigua resistencia, en este caso como un soporte. Y diréis, oye, ¿siempre vais a usar las mismas zonas de soporte y resistencia? No, depende mucho de cómo se vaya comportando el precio. No es científico, es simplemente una estimación y simplemente deciros que por aquí seguimos en tendencia. Sí que es verdad que en 4 horas hubo cierres por debajo, pero bueno, todo hay que complementarlo con algo suplementario o con algún suplemento, ¿vale? Por esta zona seguimos viendo mucha resistencia, pero al haber confirmado este soporte ya veo más fuerza. Es decir, no debemos buscar movimientos unidireccionales o simplemente de subida y ya, sino que hay que ir analizando si ha roto algún soporte importante. Si, por ejemplo, hubiera roto el 0,35, ya me habría preocupado más. Si hubiera dejado un mínimo decreciente, ya me habría preocupado más. Pero como estaba viendo que este mínimo, que es el importante, que este mínimo, que este cierre no estaba por debajo de los anteriores mínimos, no estaba por debajo de los anteriores cierres, dije, alcista. Y alcista sigue. Puede hacer algo así de, oye, venga, voy a vacilar a Adrián y voy a bajar a este soporte. Pues no pasaría nada, dejaría, si no rompe este soporte, ¿vale? Si no rompe este soporte, dejaría mínimos crecientes y seguiría siendo alcista. Por eso digo que la tendencia es tu amiga hasta que se demuestre lo contrario. En el momento en el que se demuestra lo contrario, que hay cierres, por ejemplo, en 3 horas por debajo de esa línea de tendencia, ahí ya podemos sospechar un poco más. Por ejemplo, cuando estábamos por aquí arriba, cuando estábamos después del PAM de noviembre, por aquí encima, ¿vale? Aquí cuando rompe, aquí sí que cambia la tendencia en 3 días, temporalidad alta, elevada, ¿vale? Y por aquí, cuando lo rompe y a esta zona baja a confirmar la ruptura, yo aquí salgo y digo, hay que hacer un vídeo para contar que la antigua resistencia era un nuevo soporte. Ya lo dije ayer, esta zona era resistencia y ahora es soporte. Y no es por decir, os lo dije, sino por comentar qué tipo de análisis debemos hacer. Si tenemos una tendencia alcista, ojo, en 3 días, tenemos que mantenernos alcistas. Y si baja el precio, o se holdea o se compra más. Lo que no se puede es, baja un poco el precio en 3 días, baja al soporte y vendo por pánico. No, hombre, hay que seguir acumulando porque la tendencia es tu amiga y si baja a esta línea que tenéis aquí marcada, que son EMAs, que son medias móviles exponenciales en este caso, es buena noticia, es simplemente que esta tendencia es más sana, más saludable. Si solamente sube y sube y sube como por aquí, lo normal es que luego baje a hacer algún toque. Yo de hecho no lo oculto. Por aquí esperaba que tirara mucho más para arriba, ¿vale? Pero ya sabéis qué pasó. No obstante, cuando hizo este toque, era un movimiento muy sano del mercado. Bueno, luego ya sabéis qué pasó. El resto es historia, como se suele decir, ¿no? Y nada, simplemente recordaros que hay que usar medias móviles de vez en cuando para confirmar o para ir orientando nuestras decisiones. Y, por ejemplo, contra Bitcoin, y ya con esto acabo, todavía no ha roto en 3 días esta resistencia. Claro, cuando lo rompa, habrá mucho dinero que entre de Bitcoin para comprar XRP. Personalmente, os lo prometo, yo estoy esperando a que pase eso, hasta que no cierre por encima de estas líneas de tendencia, ¿vale? No quiero precipitarme a vender mi Bitcoin por XRP. Sí que lo estoy estudiando, pero la dominancia en Bitcoin todavía no está tan débil, ¿vale? Estoy estudiando qué hacer cuando cierre por debajo, pero mientras Bitcoin tiene mucho tirón y sobre todo hay que saber cómo moverlo y cómo poder liquidarlo, ¿vale? Os dejo con la entrevista con Matthew, espero que lo disfrutéis. Está en inglés y probablemente lo traduzca en algún momento y lo deje, no sé, en algún blog. De momento es lo que os quiero compartir, ¿vale? Un abrazo a todos y nos vemos en el próximo vídeo. Hello and welcome to Momentum 3.0. Here we are with the CEO of Trustline. We will be talking about Trustline, also about Flare, XRP, and things like that. So let's start with the first question of today, the most important question of today. That is, how are you doing today, my man?
Thank you for the question. I'm doing pretty well. It's nice and early here on the Pacific Coast, and I'm always excited to chat about DeFi.
Wonderful, wonderful. So let's start with what is Trustline. In a nutshell, we want a small, brief explanation, please.
Sure. So at a high level, what Trustline is trying to accomplish here is to build out a credit network that is, native to the blockchain, utilizing cryptocurrencies, building a credit network that is perhaps more stable than what we have today, where banks are underwriting credit and you have situations like the 2008 financial crisis happening. So the idea here is to build something that will prevent such situations from arising. And where I think that really starts is with creating credit on the blockchain that is fully backed, starting there, and being able to issue that credit. So I would say, just at a high level, it's a credit network.
Nice, nice. Which network, which blockchain did you choose and why? Because I heard that it is built on Flare networks, but as Flare networks also uses XRPL, I would like to hear from you which network are you going to use, or if you are going to use both, or can you explain that, please?
Sure. So yeah, the idea is to leverage both networks. So using Flare for the smart contract capabilities, that allows us to run DeFi applications, and Flare has the F assets. So that allows you to connect value from other blockchains, such as the XRP ledger, onto the Flare network and unlock that value in DeFi applications. So I am using the XRP ledger for a couple of reasons. So the XRP asset is pretty mature in the marketplace, and the XRP ledger is incredibly fast and efficient if you're doing payments. So with Flare, you have the ability to transfer that value from the XRP ledger to the Turing complete Flare EVM, where you can do things that you can't do on the XRP ledger. But then you can also transfer that value back to the XRP ledger, and you can utilize that value that's in a DeFi context, but using it on the XRP ledger. And so essentially, where I'm going with that is using that value on the XRP ledger in order to make payments and do so with quick transfers of payment and at a very low cost.
Nice, nice. Let's talk about those smart contracts. Like the main goal of some projects is to build that stablecoin, and yours is Ahora, isn't it? So
that's right. Yeah.
Can you explain that? And can you explain which stablecoin style do you follow? Because there are some, we want to hear from you. Which one are you using?
Sure. So there are a couple of different types of stable coins. The most popular are fiat collateralized stable coins, such as Tether or USDC. So these stable coins are fully backed one-to-one by like the peg currency. So in this case, the US dollar, backed one-to-one by US dollar reserves held in a bank account. So that's a fiat collateralized stablecoin. And then on the other hand, you have the crypto collateralized stablecoins, which are also backed, but instead of being backed by a fiat currency, it's backed by a cryptocurrency or set of cryptocurrencies. And it's over collateralized in case the price of the collateral goes down, then it retains its peg. So a couple of things that differentiate these two stable coins is that auditability and transparency is a big difference there. You can always verify that the funds backing a crypto collateralized stablecoin are there backing it. You can't do that with a fiat stablecoin. That bank account balance that's doing the backing is private, and auditors have to basically verify that the funds are there. And so you actually see, like with Tether, for example, there's a like allegation that they weren't fully backing the Tether currency by one-to-one with reserves. And so that was a bit of a controversy. So that's not really an issue with a crypto stablecoin.
Okay, and what is your plan about the collateral? Can we use XRP? Can we use Spark? Or what is your roadmap, your plan?
Yeah, so I'm doing some testing right now, starting with Spark, but I have it next on my list of things to do to, once I have Spark collateral working, then move on to the F assets, starting with FXRP. So that I think is critical, to provide, F asset or FXRP as collateral, because again, it's a more mature asset, and it'll help keep the peg probably a bit better, and therefore better stable currency.
Nice. And what about F dot? Do you have it in your plan or not?
Well, I suppose it could be possible if somebody wanted to do that. Maybe there would be a way, but probably wouldn't be for the best of Ore. So, that's one of the key things is how are the collateral assets determined? You see with other projects, this is a process involved with governance. So governance is pretty key. And so that's also something that is very important for Ore. But the goal is also to minimize the amount of governance as much as possible. I believe that governance itself can be somewhat of a central point of failure if not done correctly, and the possibility of it bad governance is always going to be there if there's governance. So minimizing governance as much as possible is probably the best thing to do, and that's what I hope to achieve. But with the early stages here, I'm taking it slowly, and we'll see it develop from there.
Nice. I have an institution working on Kava. We are working with the protocol, so it's familiar for us. Are you taking those projects as reference, like Maker, Compound, Kava? What is your opinion about the flaws or the advantages that they have? Because, for example, Kava already uses XRP, in this case XRP-B. So what is your position about this?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of a lot of these protocols. So Compound, MakerDAO, Aave, lending protocol, and then there are others that I am referencing. So there's a lot of aspects to these projects that they do a couple of things really well, and then there are some things that they are achieving that aren't necessarily what a stable coin should be trying to achieve. So the kind of difference is that, and also I wanted to add Uniswap is actually something that I'm looking at very closely right now. They have this concept of automated market maker, which has become very popular. So Uniswap is now the biggest decentralized exchange in the Ethereum ecosystem. So this AMM, as it's called, uh, uh, me methodology is pretty interesting. So I'm combining that part with different components of these other protocols, and ultimately to achieve a way to deposit cryptocurrency and receive loans from this, decentralized autonomous bank on the blockchain.
Nice. For example, one big problem that we have currently is the liquidation price. I think that automated market making could solve this. Like, if we are close to the liquidation price, we may automatically swap some of our XRP or Spark collateral into the stablecoin or whatever, because that was the big problem, the Black Swan event with MakerDAO. So I personally feel that that is the key right now for the kind of project that you are developing. For example, in Kava, they are also trying to do it. Yeah, I think that we need that kind of AMM with stablecoins. Let's talk about the project, the white paper that I have been reading about. The main question here is the credit worthiness. How can we achieve this credit worthiness, or how can we measure that? I am economist, so I need to measure this kind of things. How can you measure that?
So if I'm understanding the question correctly, we want to understand, how we can measure, parts of the system. It's on the blockchain. All of the, parameters are visible to everyone. So you can get an idea of the sort of risk in the system at any point in time. So I think it's a lot of the time more useful to think of things in terms of risk. And in a stablecoin system, you want to look at the collateralization level. So, there's like a total aggregate balance of, outstanding debt. So you can see, what is the collateral that is securing these loans at an aggregate level, and what is the ratio of this collateral to the basically the PEG. So, what is the collateralization ratio? Is it healthy or not? So you want to look at that from the perspective of the borrower, but also from the people who are providing the liquidity to create that Aura stablecoin liquidity pool, which is what allows people to borrow this asset. So yeah, I think it's very important for that those collateralization levels to be healthy, and I think ultimately that's what will fuel the growth of Aura trust in the system, that in the sense that you have a healthy system and that it has room to grow and expand. Obviously, like during a bull market, that will allow it to prosper, whereas in a downturn in the crypto economy, of course we'll see contraction, but it's all also based on supply and demand too. So but ultimately, the most important thing is to keep the peg for a stable coin.
And what are the incentives to achieve that goal? How can we achieve the 1-to-1 ratio with incentives here?
Right. So probably the most important incentive, I believe, is the opportunity cost of money. So, I know you like to, you mentioned you like to talk economics. I also love to talk economics too. So with this opportunity cost, there's always, some sort of cost of handling any sort of money. And in this case, you have, fiat and crypto. And if you have money in crypto, then you can you obviously you have it in there for a reason. So in crypto, that is because maybe you expect the price to appreciate, and more so than what you can getting higher returns than you can with fiat currency. So that's an opportunity cost, but also using crypto itself in order to get that yield is an incentive to provide liquidity to the system. And then, so that yield and the interest rate that borrowers are charged is pretty closely related, right? So you have this interest rate. When the rates are low, you have more demand for borrowing. When the rates are high, you have the incentives for people to provide ORA liquidity. And I think that what's key here is that the market kind of like decides where that interest rate sits with regard to ORA.
Okay. Yeah.
And real quick, I just wanted to mention that there are other incentive schemes, involving the stability of the system. So, for example, the governance token or Trustline credit network token playing a similar role to MakerDAO as well. But the main incentive here is the just the ability to earn yields and benefit from the system by participating in it.
Okay. Let's talk about those tokenomics, those quantitative and qualitative incentives with the token, because are you planning to have inflation or deflationary system? What is your position about that?
Yeah, so this is a good question because how that actually works out in practice, there's the monetary policy of ORA is dictated by participants. So again, that's people who are providing ORA liquidity. So these are people who I call shareholders or equity holders in the system. They provide a form of collateral that allows ORA to be minted and held in reserves. And then the ORA reserves, basically, it's like a bank, right? You can then issue a loan asset with those reserves. And everyone who owns equity share in the system reaps the reward based on repayments of debt that is created through probity. So, and probity is the smart contract system that is facilitating basically everything happening in the system, primarily like this lending activity. So is there inflation or deflation? Well, what I can tell you is that there's definitely, the amount of ORA in circulation will change based on how much liquidity people are providing, and then also how much demand there is. So, you see kind of like this interest rate that's going to float around in order to kind of come to like an equilibrium of supply and demand between, involving the amount of ORA that's in the system. And so you expect it to work just like your regular supply and demand for loanable funds, this model in economics, in the sense that, these two curves of supply and demand will influence like what is the cost of taking out this loan, or what is the yield that I can get by providing liquidity to the system.
Nice. And the governance token will be distributed, or can we just get it from the rewards that we have been talking about? How can we get that token?
Yeah, this is still a lot to be, determined and shared at a later time, but I can tell you that how it's going to be distributed is directly related to participation in the network. So the goal with the governance token is to incentivize participation, incentivize people who are good actors, doing things in good faith, helping to grow the ecosystem. And these are the people who should have a say in how the system works.
Nice, nice. So if you want, you can come whenever you want to the channel. We keep in contact, because as the Flare network is planned to launch on May, June, or even July. I hope that before July we have it. What is your roadmap related to those figures, to those dates?
Yeah, so the roadmap is, I would say it's pretty aggressive. So planning to get something out there as soon as possible for testing to commence. I think it's important for people to get familiarity with it, and also just general testing, figure out if there's any bugs, run a bug bounty program. There's going to be audits. So that's actually the main blocker here, is that these teams who are performing audits are quite busy. So I expect that the first audit will be taking place at least 2 months from now. So, you can expect something on the testnet maybe a month to 6 weeks from now, hopefully. And mainnet launch following those audits. I think it's quite important that we have stable foundation that's secure, audited, and ready to perform on the mainnet for with everyone assured that it's ready to perform.
Wonderful, wonderful. This kind of projects that let us build over the project are quite chaotic, because we have tons of ideas of how can we build over, for example, the XRPL, and tons of us think about the XRP and even Flare as well. I can start a social media platform and I can teach people about this. I started my channel thanks to Flare because of the tutorial of how to get those spark, yeah, things like that. So yeah, I think that we can see those projects as things that logically maybe replicated into Flare. Like you have Maker, you will have something related to that in the protocol, in the new network, and this is more or less like the logical reasons. But just to finish the conversation, why did you started the project? What was your why?
Well, first of all, it's really great that you're creating this channel and helping to spread information about Flare, which is a really great project that I'm just so excited to see as you are to come to fruition. So why did I start this project? That's a really good question. I think there are some personal reasons, but also just generally because I feel there's a huge need for something like this. There's just too many people who don't actually have what a lot of us take for granted, which is this credit system where people are excluded. And so I think ultimately, if the vision can be realized, it's it's a project that can bring net benefit and value to the world. That is what's really driving me, is the ability to improve the state of the world in some way. And I think DeFi is the right vehicle for me to do that, coming from my background. And it's just really, really exciting. So I'm having a lot of fun doing it too. So that's also a huge driver.
Nice, nice. So we can have a second round later, maybe after the launch, or weeks, months before the launch of the app, in order to gain momentum, as the channel is called, gain momentum for you to have the support from us, because we are mainly from Spain, but also from Mexico. Tons of people in the channel from Mexico, from Colombia, from Argentina. So they see the US dollar as we see the euro, like something more or less stable, or really stable compared to their local currencies. So they may be more interested in the app than we are in Spain, because as you can imagine, here in Spain we have the euro, and it's our main currency. We use dollars for some issues, but not as much as people from the US. We also have people from the US, and also people from America, from Latin America. Okay. So it was a pleasure to talk with you about these things. Yeah, you are invited to the next one.
Well, thank you so much. It was really a pleasure, speaking with you, and I would absolutely be delighted to come back. So thank you.